Well, she said, can I train him to be supple up here? Well, the point is when you bring him up and he gets stiff, you can't just say, please be supple, please be supple. I mean, that's where you maybe have to put him deeper again. And again, Steffen and I both agree, by the time I see it, it's too late. Okay? And by the time he sees it, you should have felt it here 2 strides ago, and you know, I mean, it looks like his horse is always on the bit. Okay, now, I don't think he just found the one and only horse that always stays on the bit forever and ever. Did you?
No.
Oh. So, you know, there isn't such an animal.
No.
So it's timing, and again, you have to be willing to experiment, and I think all of us have to realize that none of us are perfect. You know, the horse isn't perfect, I'm not perfect as a judge, and you're not perfect as a rider, and Steffen's not perfect as a trainer. And, you know, we're all going to make mistakes in a day, and we all have to say, look, those are learning opportunities, training opportunities. Kira Kirkland she says one of my favorite things. She said, if it's not working slower, go faster. If it's not working with the horse up, put the horse down.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I agree, Claudia. And you're good enough of a rider to make those decisions. Yeah. If he's not supple up there, definitely position his body in a place where he's supple. Yeah. I have 3 rules. My most important rules in this sport. Want to know? Suppleness, suppleness, suppleness. You know, if you can, when your horse is on your aids and your horse is supple, you can do anything. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I had horses that I don't even put up there unless I go down center line in the test. Yeah, Floriano is one of those horses. He's very, very uphill. Yeah, and I spend most of the time riding him a little bit deeper rounder. Yeah, because when I ask for that expression that I want in the show arena, if I would keep him here all day long, I could not ask for that expression. Yeah. It's simply you would hollow his back, I would lose control. It's that simple. Yeah? Very good. You're welcome.
Okay, do you want to answer your question?
Yeah. The question was, you talked about using the cluck to get forward. Do you continue to train with this all the way up to the levels, or only as you introduce the idea? No, I use it all the way through the levels. When in the warm-up, my last few seconds, especially when I have a horse that's not that reliable in the piaffe, when I close my leg gently and I cluck with the tongue, I expect him to react behind. Yeah? Obviously, I won't do this in the ring, yeah? But I can assure you, if I have him mentally so much with me because of a simple training technique like this, there's a very good chance that he's going to be with me in the show arena. Yeah? So yes, the idea works for me. I understand if some people disagree with it, but to me it is all about getting the horse as sensitive as possible and making and really showing the essence of the sport, and that's trying to get all the movements done with a lot of expression, and the rider showing very, very little movement, showing very little leg aid, yeah? Not a lot of seat aids. And that to me is the beauty and the artistic part of the sport. Yeah? So if I can train my horse to be mentally really with me, then yes, this technique works great. Yeah. Okay.
But I've never heard him do it in the show ring.
Not yet. That's great.
And you have to realize that when he clucks, it's an occasional thing. You hear people who go the whole time, and then you're going to desensitize your horse from the cluck too.
Right.
Just, you know, any aid is an aid as long as it's done quickly, you know, and not prolonged, because that will deaden the horse to it. I have another question. In a trot lengthening, where should the rider's upper body be positioned? Well, I don't know if you meant trot lengthening at first level. It doesn't really matter whether it's a lengthening, medium, or extended. Personally, I don't think leaning back and digging your seat bones into the horse's back is helpful. Maybe back in the old days when we were riding cart horses, but with the more modern sensitive horses, leaning back is the wrong thing. It puts you behind the motion, it puts your seat down into the horse's back, which I think is counterproductive. So for me, the rider should, no matter what you're doing, be standing on the horse in a bent knee position, shoulder, hip, heel. I don't see no reason for this, and I see no reason for this. Perhaps if anything happens a little bit, the shoulders could come slightly behind the hips for pirouettes or the moments of really the most collecting. But you've got to think of your seat a little bit as a three-point position. Your two seat bones in your crotch, and it's like a plug, a three-point plug that's plugged into the wall. You've got to plug the seat down into the saddle and pretty much keep it there. We haven't had any underwear questions yet.
Yeah.
This usually leads to questions about what type of underwear, but so far
unfortunately
so
you don't get those questions. I get
Nobody
those.
cares what kind of underwear I wear. We all want to know what kind you wear. That's the thing. Okay, and the other is what type of contact with this? Well, even though, and I've argued obviously unsuccessfully because it's still in the directives, at first level it says lengthening of the stride and the frame. I don't think a very young horse can lengthen the frame and the stride, especially when they're in a level balance, without falling downhill. So I think that's stupid. And if you don't lengthen the frame at first level in my ring, I don't care. If you keep the nose to the chest, now I care deeply about that. But I really think the medium gaits, they're talking about a little bit of a lowering and rounding of the neck, where the extended gaits, the neck should come up and out. And again, that takes so much strength. I can count on one hand how many 9s and 10s I've given an extended trot. I think that's a difficult movement.
Yeah, no doubt. And if it's possible, and the horse is so perfectly trained, and we can allow the horse to lengthen his frame without him taking advantage of it, that's all great. But I think especially the amateur rider gets too confused with this idea, and the horse doesn't really lengthen the frame, it goes on the forehand. Yeah, so very, very difficult subject.
Yeah, you know, it's the balance, you just have to, whether it's bend or the lengthening of the frame, pull high, pull low, you have to know your horse, you have to know where your horse is that day in its training and its strength level. You have to think about the balance and the suppleness being more important than the little still picture. It's more about the moving picture and all the body parts moving. But again, if you want a 10, all those things have to work together.
Yeah.
So that's all I can tell you. We have our ideal, and we're all working toward that ideal, but nobody's gotten 100% yet, so we're all still working.